Well, he's in. We're in Perth.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, Purple.
Hi, hello, Jim and Bill and Rabsy. What are you two doing tonight after you finish this
We've
beautiful
got a
shift of
client
radio?
function, which is upstairs, so we're heading up there to meet the fine people that put the money into this business.
150 sponsors,
That's
Jim.
it.
And you've got to get a photo with each. I'm looking forward to that.
You are. Now, Purple, I know there's news, negatives and positives, so we're
Yes.
doing all of that.
Yes.
Now, you know I don't watch the Sunday Footy Show, and don't take that personally,
Well, you're
because
in
I don't
a,
watch any footy shows.
You're in a minority there, Jim, but
Yeah,
keep
good.
going.
So,
Yep.
and I know how good the show is, so I'm not. This isn't a criticism in any way, shape, or form.
You used to host the show, Jim, but
I
good to
did.
see you keeping up
I
with it
did,
still. Yeah.
but I don't
Bloody
watch
cricketer.
I don't watch anything. Yeah, exactly. What's a cricketer doing on a footy show? But I did read with interest in today's paper
Right.
that the Chompers, Tony Jones, is not going to Wimbledon. And the fact that he isn't going to Wimbledon wasn't brought up by anybody on the Sunday Footy Show.
Thanks,
Purple now.
Chomp.
Thanks, Chompity Chomp. Now, but that's not the Triple M way, and it used to not be the Footy Show way. How are you? What are you doing here?
And I see the corn.
What corn?
The corn's had a crack.
Yeah, corn. Yeah.
You're taking some short steps, says the corn.
Oh, corn would know about... anyway, don't get me started on corn.
He nearly said it.
got him.
He nearly
You
said
nearly
it.
wound me up. I might still say it anyway in a few minutes if you want to keep me
All right.
going with it. No, what? But where would we take it, Jim? Just you being the king of comedy on the Sunday Footy Show. 2 hours of hilarious fun,
Yes.
as you know, Bill, and Bill was contributing to that for many
Yes.
years. Where would we have taken that, Jim? Where would that have gone?
As soon as the show started, I would have said, Chompers, you're not going to Wimbledon. What's going on?
Yeah, why aren't you?
Why
Why are you
aren't
here?
going? Because you normally missed a Wimbledon.
And have a tennis racket or a tennis
something,
ball or something?
Put a headband on, John McEnroe style.
Exactly.
Like, take it somewhere,
No, look,
Purple.
I, as you know, and as we did discuss this on Triple M at the start of the year, I did want to go down the path of what happened over summer on the very first footy show. There's no disputing that. I don't know whether with this one's that big a deal, is it?
Well,
to
is
the
he
general
filthied
consumer?
up about it?
I
the
don't know. No,
Chompers?
in fact, he was in very good form yesterday. I mean, it wasn't even an issue for what it's worth. And we do like each other on that show, Jim, and there's no need to make
I'm
anyone
not for a
awkward.
second saying you don't. I just think it was worthy of at least a question.
Yeah. I will cornered no too. There's a lot of times you want to protect the people you like and work with, and we did that with Corn for many years. I don't know what he's talking about taking sidesteps.
All right.
He's not happy.
No.
Obviously, something's going on.
I got something else for you. Big news. Big
actually
news
not.
over here, Love Island, on the top of your head there.
Yeah.
Big news over here is State of Origin.
You're
Is that-
the full atoll with nothing on it at all. So yeah.
Oh, he's
He's filthied up. I love it. I love it when Purple filthies up.
State of Origin next year. Is that right, Damo?
Over here.
WA v
In WA.
Victoria.
Yeah, they haven't signed off on it yet, Bill. They've certainly been discussing it as a possibility with the clubs. They loved what happened, as we know, with that Indigenous All-Stars game against the Dockers at the start of the year, because there was an investment of time and resource and everything attached to it to get that game up and running, and it was embraced by the clubs because of that. I've still got some doubts and reservations about a State of Origin concept, but it is the right time of year on the calendar to do so, before the even pre-season matches start, and clubs then want to get focused fully and heavily onto how they look and prepare for an upcoming season. So it would be that February time frame that is in the offing with it, Bill. So if it is to be resumed, that would be it.
And Matt Rowell now.
Matt Rowell.
Reports that he signed on up there at the Suns for 2 more years. I don't know if he has signed on, Damo. I'm hearing he hasn't signed on as yet.
You've got your own mail.
He's going to wait till the end of the year.
Can you go into this a bit deeper, Bill? Because I know that you have good contacts yourself. And I say that because the 3 people that I saw yesterday go with this story online, I don't know who went first, but what I will say is the 3 names that I did see, in no particular order, Michael Gleeson, Mitch Cleary and Cal Toomey, they are 3 journalists I never, ever have cause to doubt any content of them, be it into
So you're saying they're wrong.
No, what do they say? He actually has signed on, or he is going to sign?
No, they've all, again, without going into absolutely every word of what they had published, they all basically went with the story within a few minutes of each other. And again, I don't know who went first. I don't care who went first. But they're 3 names, Bill, that I would never, ever have cause to doubt.
So
There's others.
but you're doubting them.
I'm not doubting them. They're very good journos. They know a lot more in the game than me.
No, they do.
But I'm hearing that he hasn't. And he's just waiting. Needs a bit more protection up there.
Right.
He's doing all the hard work. He's banged up. And when they only get about 4,000 to games, big games, he's looking down in Melbourne thinking Collingwood, Geelong,
Geelong.
they're playing big
Seriously,
crowds.
no, big crowds.
What was the
massive
crowd
crowds.
at the Giants and the Suns officially, Damien?
Officially, it was in the tens, Bill. When I say
What do you
officially,
reckon it
that's what I
was?
saw was published as a number.
Yeah.
It didn't look that many, did it? It
About
often
4.
doesn't at NG Stadium when I see that. But you don't know how many people are sitting on this side of the camera, do you?
Oh,
but
is that
but
right?
it did seem less than that number they published, Bill, to me, yeah. Are you doubtful of that too?
Yes, 4,000,
He's
I'm told.
doubtful of everything. isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a good person up there
Have
that
you?
knows
Have
a bit,
you?
yeah.
Right.
Mm.
What's going to happen if this Matt Rowell story is confirmed in the next week?
I'll apologise and say they were right and I was...
Oh, hello.
I was...
Because-
Jim, how do you
because
say it?
There are
How do you say it, Jim?
There are journalists. We had one just recently, Purple,
did.
that put his hand up and said, "I got that wrong. I've got to be better."
Wrong.
He did that.
And there are journos who don't, Jim.
There's a journo
Here we
who's
go.
had 30 years of absolutely steadfastly not doing that. Purple.
Yes, I know, Jim. I know, Jim.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you do know. Any other stories that you can doubt, Bill? Or
I know. Michael Voss, what's the latest there? We're over here. We hear nothing.
Yeah.
What's the latest, please?
He's got 9 matches remaining, and I don't say that it's for any other reason, Bill. He's got to work his way through it in that 9 weeks. He's got a contract for next year. We may as well start with Carlton because they are the head of the negatives list this year, Bill, so we could maybe do a negative now, and they are in that because just to go back to, we've basically now had a season of football from where they have gone from second on the ladder to this corresponding stage last year. They've only won 8 matches of the 23 they've played, Bill, since that point in time. Now, I'll just even break down that
Say
further.
that again.
8 matches of the 23, which is a season of football, if you want to use the 23 as a season of football. They've won since being second on the ladder this time last year. Now, again, I'll break that down further. 2 of those were against West Coast. One was against, this is last year. Sorry, this year. 2 against West Coast this year. 1 against North Melbourne, who they lost to on the weekend. Another one against West Coast this year. St Kilda, Essendon, and the outlier's Geelong. Geelong's the only team of good note that have beaten this year and even since that round 16 period of last year in those 23 matches. Yeah. Issues, obviously, with form, issues with injury to Harry Mackay. There's uncertainty everywhere. And Graham Wright, officially, just to remind people, Brian Cook will be leaving the club in October, and he deserves to have all the plaudits applied to him, and he will get them. But ultimately, Graham Wright is on the hook for what happens at his footy club next year. Decisions about next year are being made now. I've been saying for some weeks, Bill, he will be taking over effectively in July. And as we look at the calendar right now, that's coming up in about a week's time.
Next week.
I know.
And I think you're right.
So a little break, and then negatives. We start negatives, or what do you want to do?
I just got a text from Mitch Cleary.
Oh, hello. Good.
No, I said, has Matt Rowell signed yet, Coco? Not officially.
Ooh.
Well, what did he report then?
But has told the Suns he's staying.
Ooh.
But that's not a signature.
Bill.
Ever listen to Fat?
Oh,
That's not a signature.
Well, what did they break then?
Should
those
I
3
say that
journalists?
with Mitch texting me?
Probably not, Bill.
Probably shouldn't.
Probably
It's
wouldn't
like you
reveal
usually
your
do.
Yeah, exactly.
Lucky we're pre-recorded.
Get someone up at the pivots to give you a story, and then you won't go with it.
More
All right.
negatives with Damo next, and his positives from round 15. And Bill.
All right, before we get to the craft Bill's
Yes,
about
yes,
to throw
please,
to,
yeah.
we've got these 4 lovely people who have come in, our prize winners,
Who
to
are
watch the
they?
show. And Kaz,
Looking at us.
I just walked out there, and Kaz said, "Please tell Fat not to bend over again, because I can see his ass crack." That's what she said.
Your
Did
bike
she
rack.
really?
She said, "I would tell him not to bend over any more times."
I wonder. She brought the bike in. She's going to park it.
No. Anyway, what craft are you rolling
Gee,
with?
that was a long ad break. Now, Damo, of course, the Friday night huddle, going beautifully too. Rating
Yes,
well, Jim,
did
isn't
rate
it?
beautifully. Bloody oath. it
Because
is.
of us.
And we. Oh, there you go.
But, Damo, you have to introduce your favourite song now, I see.
Yeah, we do a song each Friday night, Bill, yes.
So what was your favourite song last Friday night?
Well, for limited offering last Friday night,
Here we go.
it was a
Limited
Nickelback,
Yes.
a Nickelback
Oh,
song.
no.
Right, okay.
Righto, Rabs.
Damo, but I always like your type of song choices. What do you got for us today, Big Daddy?
Well, this band is not for everyone, Howie. It is for me, though.
no.
It's a Canadian outfit. It's the at times controversial Nickelback, and this is a 2002 ripper in my eyes.
I like your pants around your feet.
What the hell are you doing?
Damo!
Through like your pants around your knees.
Oh, Damian.
What the hell's that, Damo?
Nah, you've doctored that. It was how you remind me.
How can we do that from here?
I don't know what to believe anymore.
That's not right,
No,
Damo.
I threw to how you remind me. I don't like that song that you just played there. That's a ridiculous song.
Damian. Have you got any
You're
news
better than that, Damo.
or any positives
have
or
you got back to
something?
Mitch Cleary?
Oh, yeah. I said I just went on air with that, and he said you didn't.
Actually, he's just texted me too. I'll read that later on. Positives. GWS,
Yes.
I felt was the big winner. Now, they've had wins, as we have already discussed, against the top three teams in the ladder. What they did against Gold Coast on the weekend, yesterday, Sunday, at their own stadium, I thought was as good a performance as they had. They were down early by about 5 goals. I thought Tom Green persevered unbelievably well against the really good opposition, Matt Rowell being one of them, Bill. And I know you've got a massive soft spot for Noah Anderson, Jim, and he's having a great season, it must be said. Touk Miller as well. That midfield crew was dominating there for a long period of time, but Tom Green and Finn Callahan just worked their way through it. And you then get to the last quarter, and they slam on 8 goals, and some of those goals were as good as you'd ever see. Jake Stringer kicked 2 that no one else in the comp in those moments, I feel, would have kicked. You saw a brilliant goal from Tom Green, where he basically sold the dummy twice with fatigue in the last quarter to still kick a goal from about 35 out. You saw Toby Green seize a moment too and do a very typical Toby Green goal, which bounced through. And I thought it was a really meritorious win for a club that had struggled to get momentum for a lot of the season, but is now just, I feel, starting to hit its straps. So big win.
Look out.
Big win. Brisbane Lions equally, they'd had a couple of weeks where it was 4 to 6 weeks where they were just off the boil of, in totality in that period of time. But I just loved what Harris Andrews did on Friday night down there at the category. To me, he controlled that game. I know Cam Rayner had moments. I know Logan Morris kicked 5. I knew Josh Dunkley again had a big game. Ashcroft was good, particularly Will. But I thought it was Harris Andrews who led the way for them. So he's going in as a positive as well. Also, Bill, it's sometimes a simple game. If you get your best players available, I'm referring to Goulden and Papley and Mills. They were all back in for the Sydney Swans, and no coincidence, they looked partially as good as at times in 2024 with what they did against Port Adelaide on the weekend. No secret that Isaac Heaney had one of his better games this year with those 3 players back to help him. And at 6 wins, 8 losses, there's still 2 games outside of the 8. But now that they've got Goulden, it was his first game for the year. The injury he sustained in the preseason, Bill, was outside of the premiership season. So it was his first game for the year. Papley had only played the 3. So they're back, I think. And I think we can start to have some faith in how they set up.
What about Roof? Who let the dogs out?
Yeah, well, they let themselves out, and the 79-point buffer they had over Richmond, Bill, at Marvel, that could have quite easily been a 20-goal result for them. And we're just sort of coming to expect Sam Darcy to do something pretty extraordinary each week, and we almost go, oh, yeah, this week it was 5 goals. Oh, yeah. He just kicked 5, just a lazy 5. I mean, same with Marcus Bontempelli. He again, I hope that the All-Australian selectors don't rule him out for the 5 games he missed with injury at the start of the year, because he's been very, very good as always since he's returned.
He's a freak.
Don't know what to gets the 3 votes that game? Bont, English, or Darcy?
I thought it was Bontempelli. Righto. But it could, I mean, you wouldn't argue too loudly, would you, if it was any of the other 2, particularly Darcy? Because English was great too. I think he's had a really good season too, Tim English. I'm going to give a massive shout out to North, Jim. This is not something I often do.
My girl Sandy's text me. She said, if Damo doesn't appreciate the majesty of those middle 2 quarters, then I'm going to hunt him down, she reckons.
Yeah, well, we'll ignore the scoreless last quarter and the 1-goal first quarter, Jim, and look at the second and third quarters, because that was where the game was won. And against Richmond at the MCG, Carlton at the MCG, what you then do is you package up the 8-week body of work, which I think is now a good body of work, and that goes back to coming out of the debacle on Good Friday against Carlton. So 3 wins, 1 draw, the draw against the Brisbane Lions. Obviously 4 losses, but one of those losses was by 45 points to Collingwood, but they were in front at 3/4 time, and the other 3 losses have all been by single digits. So I think that's a good 2-month period. It's clearly the best 2-month period that Alistair Clarkson has had in his 3rd season as coach of North Melbourne. And yeah, I've been dubious and maybe took too long to realise what's going on, but I've now seen it for 8 weeks, Jim. So I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. And I like what I'm seeing. And it's on the back of Sheasel, on the back of Powell, who's having a really nice patch. I think Zerha, we spoke to him last week, didn't we? I think he's having his best season of footy. I really think you can mount that case. Luke Davies-Uniacke was good. Pink has had a couple of really good games inside that 8 weeks. Yeah, Parker's been huge, Bill. And Tristan Cherry, it wasn't his best game for the year, but it certainly wasn't his worst, and he was important yet again.
Well, and Finn O'Sullivan is also growing nicely. Yeah, this is a top 3 draft pick, but I really like what he's doing too.
Toby Pink.
Tobias.
Yes, going all right, Toby.
Oh, Pinky Tuscadero.
Coming along, yes. He is.
He's been good in a couple of those wins they've had, actually, inclusive of the weekend. Collingwood, Darcy Cameron just gets better every week, and it's no secret. I mean, he's a premiership player, and he's been so important to Collingwood for a long time, and there's a lot of interest in where he plays football beyond 2026. He's already locked
Albany
away as
boy,
a
of course, Claremont Footy Club over here.
So he's coming over this week, isn't he? So
games in Melbourne.
It's at Marvel, Bill.
Marvel. Yeah.
I said he's going over there next week.
He's already there.
I don't know where he is.
You don't know where you are. The narrative out of the game was the Nick Dacos tagging by him of Marcus Windhager, and Dacos still being best on ground as a result of it. I think Darcy Moore's having a really good year. He was injured and banged up last year, and he just wasn't able to hit his straps consistently.
Right, get back to the Windhager purple. Do you have any issue with that harder tag happening to a star player?
Did it break the player's code?
Not what I saw, Jim. No. I know there was some moments. I know there was some hand movements and maybe even a leg on a leg. But I think if you assigned the role as Marcus Windhager was, I didn't see anything unless you've seen something that I'm not alluding to. I thought it was fair. Fair in inverted commas, the way that role is so rare to be played in AFL in 2025, isn't it? They normally like the team element to the run with role, and that was old-fashioned. Look, it was best on ground, but I don't know what more Marcus Windhager could have done, because he was playing against the player who still probably is, despite having I think a lesser year than his previous two, Nick Dacos, a pretty good, solid season.
Yep, no doubt.
His brother's going all right.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? He is. We got time for some negatives, Rebsy? Yeah, Rebsy's nodding. Just the standard of footy I've just got a little watch on. I just don't think it's been a great patch, and I think it's got a lot to do with the bye periods. We've still got one more weekend of that, 5 in totality. The fixturing, has been questionable at times. Look, there was a great match yesterday, I thought, GWS and Gold Coast, and I thought Brisbane Lions were brilliant against Geelong. And Collingwood played a very watchable game of footy on the weekend, but leave me out of most of those other games. And if you look forward to round 16, the two most exciting games on paper are involving teams that are not in the 8. Port Adelaide and Carlton on the Thursday night. There's intrigue in it for the reasons that relate to the loser more than the winner, and Sydney's playing Western Bulldogs, who are in the 8. That's
going to be a good game.
That's going to be a good game too, but the rest on paper just don't jump off the page. So I'll be glad, I think, and I think the AFL will too, be glad to get out of this bye cycle that's now been 5 weeks in the making. Exactly. Long part of the season left for Richmond now. They've lost 7 of their past 8. I think we all agree and have all admired what they did early in the season, banking a few wins early, and but it was dreadful against the Western Bulldogs yesterday. They salvaged the scoreboard, Bill, late in the piece, but it was 79 points officially against the Bulldogs. Yes. It could easily, as I said before, been 20 goals, and there's lost, as I said, 7 of 8. Gold Coast, we've seen this movie before, haven't we? After the bye period or after the midway stage of the season. Now, the 3 losses they've had in a row, Bill, have been against good teams. The GWS team yesterday, good team. Geelong the game before, and Fremantle the week before that. So you acknowledge all of that, but you also look at it, and it's 0-3 from the past 3 matches, 2 of those before the bye, 1 coming out of it. Geelong, just on the negative side of it, it was a loss, obviously, but they've only...
look at fat.
They've had the 10 wins, the 5 losses. I'm just putting that performance into the too bad to be worried about category. I know that may sound simplistic. I think that's the attitude that maybe Paddy Dangerfield takes sometimes to performances like that. I mean, you can sometimes critique it and pull it apart. You don't learn anything more. Just move on and be better next time, I think. And one more, St Kilda lost 8 of their past 10 now. They were competitive against Collingwood for 3 quarters, but ultimately, they are a very long way off the very best teams in the competition. They know that. There's no doubting that, but 8 of 10 losses now after a 3-win, 1-loss start to the year.
I'm sending a bus.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh, where are you sending it to?
Docklands.
Docklands? To the umpires.
Oh. I think that's where 9 base themselves.
Oh,
The panellists of the Sunday Footy Show are on notice.
oh, Damian.
If they keep going with that weak ass stuff,
Yes.
then the bus will actually land. It's circling the building at the moment. I'm talking about you, Lordo, Nafe.
Nafe.
Have to be better than that.
There's
Pearl.
nowhere to park at Docklands and bus, Jim.
No, there's not. Underneath.
Have you seen it, Richard?
That is true.
Maybe the
Well,
umpire's
I'm sending a
department.
bus too.
Where
When it's
you?
finished with us at Channel 9 down to Princess Park because there's a bit going on down there.
Isn't there one there?
You've already
Yeah,
got
yeah,
one
I
there,
think it's
Beverly.
been
was up on
it's been
bricks,
blocks,
wasn't
hasn't it? Yeah.
Had the lawn growing under it.
Good to see you, mate.
See you guys.